It's a terrific festival, and I think festivals are very important now, more than ever, because certainly in our country, the dominance of American commercial films is overwhelming. And recently, there was a strike of writers in Hollywood, and our film industry closed down. It closed down, and it just showed us that we are colonized by the United States film industry, and that has to be bad, because it means we have no independent film industry which reflects our stories and our culture and a European perspective. And that's very important for cinema as a medium. The medium is more than Hollywood commerce. The medium is the most wonderful medium we could imagine. And we need to have an independent European film industry in all its diversity. Spanish, French, Italian, German, Scandinavian, Eastern Europe, English, Scottish. We have many cultures, and cinema can reflect them. And we need a political change to give us a strong, independent film industry. And festivals, at the moment, are the beacon of hope. Because without you and other festivals like Valladolid, we are lost. Apart from that, it's really good fun to come. So, muchas gracias.
Manos levantadas. Por aquí tenemos una mano levantada. Un momentito que le pasa a la compañera.
Hay afirmaciones suficientemente explícitas en la película que las pueden suscribir muchos de los partidos de la ultraderecha en Europa. ¿Por qué han decidido soslayar el tema explícitamente político y si se querían centrar en la responsabilidad individual y comunitaria?
I missed the middle of that question. Perdón, perdí un poquito la mitad de la pregunta. ¿Puedes repetirlo? Perdón, la molestia.
Sí, que os decía que hay suficientes afirmaciones explícitas en la película como para quedar clara la tesis, pero esa tesis o esas afirmaciones están en boca de muchos partidos de ultraderecha europea que están en alza. Ustedes han soslayado ese nexo con la política real. Querían hablar solo de la solidaridad individual y colectiva y que no se tergiversara el mensaje.
I think that's a very good point you make, because to understand how racism develops, we have to see it develop. We cannot counter an argument, a way of looking at the world, unless we understand it. And understanding the seeds of racism, the seeds of hostility to migrants, unless we tell these stories. Simply making a speech about it won't do. And the cause that we try to explain is that when a community has no hope, when the work has gone, when the shops are closed, when some of the houses stand empty and the value of houses go right down, when the whole community is abandoned and there is people see no way forward, then they fall into despair. when they fall into despair, then the far right comes in and says, the people to blame are the people even worse off than you are. The people to blame are the migrants. Instead of looking at the whole economic system that produces the poverty, that produces the lack of good work, that produces the failure of our public services, that produces the collapse of parts of the economy. That's where we need to look, not downwards. So, but to see that in action seems to tell a story that explains that or indicates it is what film can do. We tell stories, you know. The film shouldn't be making speeches. It tells stories. And to show how good people can be susceptible to racism seems to us a really important thing to undertake. But one thing to add is that the hope is in the solidarity. If we recognize what we have in common and we support each other, then we become strong. If we become strong, then it is possible to see a way forward. But without that solidarity, we are individual, we have no power. With solidarity, we are strong. Then what you need is political leadership that says, here is a way forward. And the strength of the people and the clarity of the path they can follow, then we can fight back. But without solidarity, we are nothing. So the hope is in the solidarity. But we have to understand why people become racist. And that's the job of the film.
Yeah. I totally agree with everything Ken said there. It had been very simple for us in this story to have had the far right come marching into the town with their jackboots and their violence and their slogans. But there's a kind of crudeness and a vulgarity and a simpleness to it. They're just telling lies. And it struck us when we were trying to tell this story. What was much more interesting, much more challenging to write, much more challenging to direct, much more challenge for all of us, was to try and untangle the complexity of what was going on. And we wanted to see if this could arise out of one community. And what we found is, with some of the remarkable people there, you know, who lived in these communities, they held out the hand of friendship to people who just come from war. Unbelievable, you know, backgrounds that come from systematic violence on a grand scale. So they had the imagination to see how they were, but at the same time they understood the tensions within their own community. And that was very, very important. They understood that, you know, because the housing crisis, like in the film, some of the houses are being sold for £5,000, you know, so simple. So a lot of families from down south would be brought up from the south of England and just dumped there, families with great problems, people with addictions. So the people who lived there felt dumped upon. You know, they say, why not, you know, Chelsea or Westminster? We've got nothing. And that was the roots of much of their fury. And a lot of that fury was totally justified. If you were living in those communities and you had people dumped upon you like that, and it destroys your life, you'd be angry, you'd be furious, you feel trapped, you don't have any agency in your life. And that's when people get angry, when they have no agency in their lives, they're told what to do, and then they're called racist, and they're furious. And it's not hard to understand that when you listen to them. But it's to untangle that legitimate fury, and find out where the real blame is. And that's what these wonderful people in these communities did. And they did that by having the kids, like in the film, eating together, spending time together, so they understand each other. So in a way, two traumatised communities got to know each other. So I think the work of solidarity has got many, many levels to it. You know, first of all, it's the intelligence to understand. It's the empathy to put yourself in these people's shoes. And then the hard graft of doing the work, collecting the food, organising it, getting people to give their cars, and you saw a community come together. Now, we didn't make this up. We saw this. And it was such a creative process that it fills you with hope. And at the same time, our governments are spewing hatred. But on the grassroots, these people were doing wonderful things. Suella Braverman, our Home Secretary, trying to undermine international law. trying to undermine the Convention of 1951, telling lies about the immigrants, calling invasions, calling them swarms, lying through their teeth. You know, and you know, in this dispute just now, we see how the United Nations has been attacked again and undermined on another dispute. You know, so really difficult current, difficult times. But the people we met were so creative, and that's what gives you the hope.
¿Preguntas?